Hey everybody, Derek Christensen here. I'm the owner of Legion Law, a premier estate planning and probate law firm in Dallas, Texas. Today I wanted to talk to you about why does it take so stinking long to go through probate. But before I dive into that, I wanted to let you know how to reach out to me. You can find me in my email, Derek, D-E-R-E-K, at legionlawpllc.com, or you can go to my website, www.legionlawpllc.com. So with that, let's dive into this very frustrating topic of conversation. So this actually comes from a conversation that I had with a current client who is going through one of the worst forms of probate in Texas. It's called the heirship proceeding. Her mother passed away, her mother was single at the time of passing away, and she only had one daughter, the client. So you would think, very simply, the house should go to the daughter. What's the problem here? And I would agree with you, you are correct. However, because this woman died without a will, we have to go through this worst form of probate where they verify everything and they make sure that the family tree is actually what we claim it is, as just one daughter. Because if we're excluding other children, we very easily could steal a lot of property from those other children if they existed, which they don't. So that situation is very frustrating to my client because they think this is just a really simple transfer. I don't know why on earth we need to go through this whole song and dance, and I agree with them. But that is how it is written in Texas. Just a general rule of thumb, if you have no will, you are highly likely to go through a very terrible form of probate, the one I just mentioned, heirship proceeding. You could technically get away with that if you had few assets and you were married at the time of passing, but oftentimes it's the second parent who's passing away, and them passing away is going to cause the children, the adult children, to suffer that terrible probate. So again, no will, that's probably what's going to happen. If you have a will, you will go through a faster form of probate, but it still takes about 3 to 4 months. The terrible one, 6 to 7 months, 3 to 4 months for the one with the will, and that's if everything goes really smooth, which oftentimes it doesn't. So if you have a trust, on the other hand, and you funded that trust and you transferred everything into that trust, the day after you pass away, everybody can access everything. No need to do probate whatsoever. So that's the miracle of probate or trusts, that they have you save months and months of effort. So as to why it takes so long, why it takes all those months, and the answer is kind of what I said already, but also it's the courts. So it's two things. It's one, the courts are being very conservative, being very methodical, and they review everything. They have a judge who's very experienced. They want to make sure everything's done correctly. They have to hear testimony from witnesses. They have to hire additional attorneys to make sure they follow up on the paperwork. They're thorough and they do their job well. I'm not speaking ill of the courts, but generally speaking, they're being conservative and they are trying to figure out who gets what and who is in charge of splitting everything up. So it's a big burden because if they mess something up, then there can be very dramatic negative consequences, and it's hard to sue the court for messing something up. So more often than not, they don't, and if they do, then you can just refile and stuff like that. So that's the first thing, is that they're just conservative and they're trying to be methodical and go through everything. But the second is also that it's a government entity. You got to remember that. They're being methodical 30 to 40 hours a week, not 60 hours a week. They're being methodical Monday through Thursday, and they take Friday off. So as we all know, anytime we have to interact with the government, I very rarely find anybody, let alone myself, saying, wow, that was extremely fast and expedient. I'm very glad I'm paying for this with my tax dollars. But it is true. It's the government. You're still working with them. And so oftentimes you'll file something and 3 days later you'll hear a response when it's just, I need 30 seconds of your time. But that 30 seconds doesn't come for another 3 days. So it's frustrating, and it's, I would argue, not ideal and pretty inexcusable, but I do appreciate the methodical nature of their work and how they're trying to be conservative and make sure everything's done right the first time. So either way, that is why it takes forever. It's because they're being great at their job, but they're only doing their job a short amount of time that we all argue should be a lot more. But it is what it is, and that's why you don't want to go through probate, let alone the costs. This time frame, this 6 months of waiting, is going to cause you to actually freeze your assets in place. You can't downsize the house. You can't access the retirement accounts. You can't do anything. And you're going to have to wait, and incur those bills that have been growing for 6 months straight. And you're going to have to be paying them off. And then once finally everything is released at the end of probate, that's when you can access the funds. That's when you pay yourself back. It increased the cost as well. The lengthiness is not fun, but also it just makes things worse overall. So that is all to say that if you're trying to avoid probate, that is an extremely smart decision. So if that is the case, or if you just have questions about anything concerning probate or estate planning, feel free to reach out to me. Be more than happy to be a resource. You can find me in my email, derek@legionlawpllc.com, or you can go to my website, www.legionlawpllc.com, where you can go to our Contact Us page and schedule a free phone consultation directly onto my calendar. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.